Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be making a spicy Italian cold cut combo. Since our meats are leaning to the spicy side, we will also need a sauce that can complement those flavors, and as well as adding its own flavors to the party. So we will be making a garlic buttermilk sauce with a little bit of horseradish to bring a bit more spice to the dish from that too and let it stand on its own better. The ingredients we will be using today are sandwich rolls, 3 each of pepperoni, genoa salami, and hot capicola per sandwich, and one medium tomato for about every 3 to 4 sandwiches, and about 1/4 cup spinach per sandwich. For the sauce, the ingredients are 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, 2 teaspoons horseradish, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, and 2 tablespoons buttermilk. Let's get started with our vegetables. Beginning with our spinach, all you're going to do is want to wash it, and then pat it dry with a towel or salad spinner. And then we'll be removing the stems right where they connect to the leaves. Normally you'd leave them on for most dishes because you're generally cooking the spinach, but in this case we're not cooking it and it's also a sandwich, so the sort of tough, chewy bit of woodiness that it has isn't really something we want in a sandwich. I already prepped most of them, so let's move on to our tomatoes. With our tomatoes, we want to cut out the stems and the white area just around it. That white area where the stem connects is tough to chew and bitter in flavor, so we don't really want that in our sandwich. Once we're finished taking the stem out, we'll want to take a little slice off the side, just like we did last time, just to make it stable for cutting, and that way it doesn't slip out of your hands. And then you're going to make some nice thinnish slices, like probably 2 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch. You'll want thinner slices when making sandwiches and things like hamburgers, since they both usually have an assortment of ingredients being used on them at the same time, and they can both very easily end up overstuffed with ingredients. And then it ends up getting on people's hands or sliding out of the sandwich, and we don't want any of that. So to make it easier to eat and not have to do things like get your hands dirty while eating it, we want to do our slices a little bit on the thinner side. Now, on our sauce, since we want it to be able to stand on its own, we've got to give it some fairly potent tastes. So that's why we're making a garlic buttermilk sauce. Both of those are very potent tastes. We'll take 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, and once we get it all out of the measuring cup, we'll combine it with a teaspoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of horseradish. You can go a little bit more or a little bit less depending on your taste for spiciness, and 2 tablespoons of buttermilk. The thicker and tangier the better. It really does help here, and it makes the sauce way better if you get a tangier one. You could also add a lot of other things into the sauce, like hot or smoked paprika, or maybe cayenne pepper, chili powder, crushed red peppers if you're on the hot side, maybe mustard powder, regular mustard even, dill, ginger, finely sliced green onions or scallions, minced shallots, onions, or maybe you just want a splash of ketchup and a dash of salt to add a little bit of sweetness and glutamate to reduce the perceived spiciness of the sauce. There's a ton of variances of this sauce that you can make, and this is a great place to make your version of the sandwich. So, if you try this sandwich, and I really think you should, when you go to make this a second time, there's also a great number of other cold cuts that can be mixed in and used in place of, or in addition to the 3 we're using here. So if you're standing there looking at one of these and you feel a little bit overwhelmed with choice, rest easy. Not only are 99% of deli workers more than happy to help you with the meats and cheeses you know, but they also tend to have some great recommendations for things to try since they've typically tried all or most of the meats they sell. Now for some suggestions, you could try mortadella or sopressata in place of the hot capi, and that would reduce the spiciness level if you want it that way. I had some chorizo-infused salami that was amazing in place of the normal salami, and that raised the spiciness up a little bit. Since most deli counters will let you sample meats and try things, you can generally get a nice combo of flavors going, and this is a great place to just kind of go, hey, what's new? What do you have that you like? Alright, so let's finish up building our sandwich. Starting with our garlic buttermilk sauce, we want to get a nice light layer for both sides of the bread rolls. This makes sure we get a taste of the sauce in every bite of the sandwich, and it also acts as a moisture barrier. So for example, if your tomatoes are a bit on the wet side, this would prevent them from soaking into the rolls and keep the bread from going soggy. And nobody wants soggy bread. Now, for our meats, we are going to put our hot capicola on first, with each slice overlapping the last just slightly so that it covers the bread from end to end. And we want to do the same with both the pepperoni and the salami. If you have softer, more flexible meats, you might want to bunch them up a little bit because it tends to make them look a little better, and I also like the little air pockets in the sandwich that it creates. Since I used fairly thick slices of both the sandwich pepperoni and the genoa salami, both are somewhat dense and just going to push my capicola back flat. So you may want to swap that one to the top meat on your sandwich so that they don't do that. Oh my, a wild cheese has appeared. Actually, I just realized that we had a couple of slices of pepper jack cheese, so I decided to throw that on there as well. 2 was the perfect amount to just cover the sandwich as well, so that was a nice find. The tomatoes just get laid out slightly overlapping, just like the meats did, just far enough apart to cover the whole sandwich. And finally, we want a nice light layer of our spinach that we trimmed earlier from the stems. And once we have all our ingredients in place, we'll just put the top of the roll on, and we have a delicately balanced spicy Italian cold cut combo. And now we've made a great tasting sandwich with its own great tasting sauce. Sandwiches like these are super easy and really very little work. There are a great many cold cuts and deli meats that can be made into combos that you just have to be willing to try out a few. So, with that, thank you for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed yourself, and subscribe for more recipes and videos. Have a great day, and enjoy your meal.